Can we get some ratchet one time?
Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop, I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peace, you gon' see the flex when you hear these writtens. Trust me, you know the difference. I got a long ways to climb before you see a slippage. I see the process and the journey I'm supposed to be, but perplexed, cause I don't really see nobody close to me. Hopefully this ain't wasted and I know it ain't. You gotta take the time for seasoning to marinate. You need the patience and the pressure just to detonate. I'm trying to blow up and these heathens need to get it straight. Gifted with a vision and precision, I'm just trying to make it high key. Might be breaking free like I was Zion in some Nikes. Tucked at the crib, bro, you know just where to find me. Making beats and spitting crack verses pretty likely. Yeah, socks with the burst, boy, ain't changed a bit. Normal guy till I die, you know what it is. You probably thought I'd give up now that I got some kids, but really now I got these arrows aiming at your ribs. I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop, I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peas. Hey, please be on the notice, these my motives. Bought my chicken and it's rotis. You parsimonious, you take it all cause you a locust. My focus is to grow this mission. A visionary, get a dictionary. We here off the rip and we ain't sharing, we just caring. Let me speak it to the manager. We damage her, no you ain't messing with an amateur. I'm ramming, the competition, they ain't standing up. They fanning from left to right cause now they branded us. Now who that is? Mike Jones, they ain't want me now, they all on me. Got counterfeits trying to play me, I guess they thinking I'm Sony. These big head dummies showing up and out of their character. Homie, you need a price cause without it the squad ain't hearing you. Top of that, we ain't fearing yet. We swinging for the fences with the sting of a left hook that connects with Sonny Liston. I'm dismissing any and all of the disrespect. Nonetheless, it ain't a threat, I'm just letting y'all know who's next. I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the start, I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peas, you gon' see the...
Woo! Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no home, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas key. You with me, but need no cheap keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Mafia, shout out to anybody that was in the live stream last night. Looks like that 1 hour money flow crossover with the 16-hour red dot finally decided to give us the move down. We're going to cover this with you guys. I'm going to show that 1 hour money flow crossover literally started that continuation of the downside just as you would expect off that market cipher beat 116 strategy. And we have come down into the key level of support that we looked at last night. Are we going to get the bounce from here, guys, or are we going to continue down a little bit lower? We have a lot to talk about today. However, it is going to be a short stream, guys. I still feel like garbage today, but instead of canceling the stream and resting, I figured, doing a short stream would be a little bit better than canceling. But as Bitcoin got the pullback, I wanted to jump up here and give you guys the key level that we're bouncing off of right now. What are the chances of getting a big bounce from this level? What are the overall expectations over the next week, over the next 2 weeks, and then also the long term? So we're going to cover everything on tonight's live stream. Preemptive apology if the energy is off, guys. My head is throbbing. I just feel like complete death. But we're gonna try to keep the energy going. We got the black coffee in the CandleMafia mug. Let's go. These used to be available on the merch site. I don't think we have them anymore. But if we get 550 likes on tonight's live stream, I will give you a game worn CandleMafia Frankie Candles Black coffee mug. You can only drink black coffee out of it, though. But shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Let's see. We got Jesse in the chat. Don't forget to smash that like button. Every 100 likes we get you guys some extra free crypto on Friday night's giveaway. We're already giving away 10 bags of ADA. And yeah, if we get 550, I'm not really going to give away a game-worn mug. I don't think anybody wants that. But maybe we'll give away some Frankie Candles hats. And by the looks of it, guys, I think I need to retire this hat. Maybe we'll give away the used hat as well. But shout out to Effin Dollars. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you so much. He said, if looking at Market Cypher be on the 4-hour with the 15-minute money flow, what time frame would you recommend to follow money flow on? The daily chart? How about the weekly chart? Shout out to Effin Dollars. In that specific scenario with the 4-hour and the 15-minute, the money flow that you would be looking at, I'll break that down for you guys because it's literally how we were able to predict this move to the downside. Although it wasn't the 4-hour and the 15-minute, it was the 16-hour and the 1 hour. So I will break that down. But in that specific case, what you're going to want to be looking at is the 15-minute money flow, right? It's a 4-hour green dot with the 15-minute money flow crossover. So in that, if you're going to expect that 4-hour green dot to give you a bit of a move to the upside, you're going to look for that 15-minute money flow crossover. You're always looking at the lower 1/16 time frame. So I will break that down a little bit for you guys, for anyone who doesn't know about that strategy. And if you didn't know about it yesterday and you tuned in, now you know about it. So we'll take a look at that. Let's see. We got shout out to Waffle Cones in the chat. Much better than Wafer Cones. Shout out to Waffle Cones. Let's go. We got Rollins 420. What is going on? Said Blaze is killing it. We actually took a look at that yesterday. Maybe we'll check in on that today as well. Let's see. We got Nirvana. Said all we need is Frankie Candles. Shout out to Nirvana. Let's go, baby. Well, Frankie Candles and Market Cypher and Trading View and volume profiles. But close. Absolutely, Nirvana. Let's go, baby. Let's see. We got Hollywood 25 in the chat. We got Crypto Audie's in the chat. What is going on? Said bound incoming. I think that was supposed to say bounce. Potentially, I'm going to talk about that as well. We got Pennywise, everybody's favorite clown. We got K Diggity in the chat. Phoebe says hi, K Diggity. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Bada boom. We got iGhost in the chat. And Dylan says we always move in the direction the smallest percentage of viewers vote. Shout out to Dylan. Usually, the masses will get it wrong. But I do actually, I'm not going to lie, guys. When we look at the polls that Tony D drops up here, I'm not going to lie. Even yesterday, I agreed with exactly what the poll said in order of the votes that it had. And that wound up being correct. So shout out to the CandleMafia. Yeah, I mean, if most people are agreeing with what I say, I would say definitely right more than we're wrong. Let's see. Bada boom. We got Abazi in the chat. Welcome in, bro. Welcome in. Crypto Al said, what is going on? YouTube. Shout out to Crypto Al. Welcome in. We got Perry in the chat. And last but not least, we got Big Huggies. Get your Huggies, guys, because Bitcoin is dumping. I'm just kidding. It's like a 2% move to the downside. It's not that bad. But let's go ahead and without further ado, jump on into the charts at 104K incoming. Shout out to Crypto Owl. We will take a look at the move to the upside if we do get a bounce. I'm going to show you those key levels of resistance I'm looking at and what I'm going to anticipate once we come up to those levels of resistance. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, so here we are, guys. Obviously, getting that continuation to the downside here. Like I said, I did say dump, right? But not really that massive of a move. You could even potentially, it's not that bad, right? But obviously, last night on the live stream, if you guys tuned in, you will know we were looking at that 16-hour green dot as well as the 12-hour red dot, 16-hour red dot and that 12-hour red dot printing. And we were looking specifically at that 1-hour money flow crossover into the red, which did pop up right here, giving us that little continuation to the downside. And that is that Market Cypher B116 strategy that we talk about constantly on the channel, guys. This will very, very often get the direction of Bitcoin correct, at least within the continuation of that trend, right? And you can see here literally right on that money flow crossovers where that downtrend continues. This is very, similar to every single other time we look at a Market Cypher B116 strategy. Oftentimes, you get those 1-hour money flow crossovers with the 16-hour red dots. You are going to get that continuation down. So not too shabby here. We also did come up and test this major trend line. Overall, guys, obviously, we are in this downtrend. We were looking at this as a key level of resistance. Not only was our trend line there, obviously not a big trend line trader, but obviously you could look at that when you're looking for those lower highs and lower lows. But we also had our value area high sitting up there. And we were talking about how, hey, why, not only are we going to be looking at the money flow, but also the fact that we had deviated above this value area high with some bearish divergences. And then once you break back into that range, guys, where are we going to expect price to go next? Obviously, we're going to look to come down towards that POC, and that is literally where we pulled down to, and we actually do have some confluence down there, obviously, so I will cover that with you guys as well, but we have gotten that drop down based off the 1-hour money flow, pushed directly into that key level of support, point of control, anchored VWAP. We did also have another level up here at our golden pocket. However, let me actually pull that fib here. I believe it was from that higher low to the high. Is that the tippy high? Yep, right there. We did come down to that golden pocket, and hilariously enough, guys, in the premium Discord, we were looking for SFPs of these lows, which was an opportunity to get a bounce. We actually did get the SFP here, and we got a little bit of a pop to the upside. Obviously, with your money flow crossing into the red, you are going to be anticipating lower highs and lower lows, but we did get that SFP for a nice little bounce to the upside, a little under 1%, but we did wind up putting in that lower high and that lower low, which if you pull your Fibonacci retracement, you're going to be looking between that golden pocket 786 for the lower high. You come in, you wick above, you come back down, you reject that golden pocket fib zone, and you do get that lower low to come, another lower high, another lower low, into the bigger key level of confluence support, which obviously was going to be the 786. I'll take that golden pocket off the chart, although as we've already bounced off of it. But you did have the 786, the POC, and the anchored VWAP. And we also had an extra level down here at the daily MPOC, which we missed by just a few dollars there. But obviously, this was looked at as a zone. Let me see if I can pull this up. Where is that folder? Local, right here, right? So we had the first zone that we were looking for the bounce, a little SFP, got the little bounce, continuation down, and now we have pushed into that bigger level of support. And, again, not only is it the fact that, we didn't just put a lower high and a lower low here based off the money flow, but also, when you're just looking within the terms of the overall volume profile here, guys, obviously, deviate above the high, get stuck back in, you're going to be anticipating a potential and high probability of the continuation down towards that point of control. Pretty crazy to see that play out so perfectly, but that's what you get when you start using Market Cipher and the money flow and the volume profiles, right? Absolutely goated tool. Volume profiles, there we go. Once again, free to use, right? This is not an indicator that I shill or anything. You use these volume profiles for free, and they just work absolutely beautiful. Most powerful trading tool you can ever put on your chart, in my own personal opinion. But the question here is, are we going to get the bounce from the POC, put in the higher low, and then yeet on off into higher prices, or are we going to lose the POC? I'm going to talk about the potential of a bounce here because we do have some things on Market Cipher that could point towards a little correction here. But, at this point, not only did we get that 1 hour money flow to continue us to the downside here, guys, but yesterday we did cover the fact that if we got that 16-hour red dot, 1 hour money flow to continue us down to that point of control, what are we going to be looking up to in order to anticipate a potential bigger continuation to eventually lose the point of control and come down to our biggest key level on the chart, which sits down here at the value area low of the range, right? Filling that range in full. Also coming back for the full golden pocket 786 retracement. We have the value area low. I believe we have, 2 daily MPOCs down here. So this is going to still be the biggest level on the chart, but I want to break it down. Like, can we bounce here? Obviously not impossible, and I'm going to show you guys exactly why I would anticipate that. But what were we talking about yesterday, guys? If you get the 16-hour red dot with the 1 hour money flow crossover into the red to play out to that point of control, we are just going to shift up an extra time frame here to the daily, as we had that VWAP coming down yesterday, looking to print that daily red dot, which is now printing in all of its glory. And if you have the daily red dot, just like the 16-hour and the 1 hour, right, you have the daily red dot, you're going to be looking down towards that 90-minute money flow, which we looked at yesterday, which was starting to come to the downside. And you can see we have gotten the crossover into the red. Now, I know after seeing a Market Cipher B116 play out as beautifully as it did, especially right on that 1 hour money flow crossover, it's very hard to think like, well, guaranteed we're going to get that move to the downside. And at this point, right, the obvious technical anticipation, right, or expectation here is that any bounce from this level could now be looked at as a lackluster retracement for lower highs and potential lower lows to come. And I'm going to show you guys the exact levels that I'm looking at for potential resistance. And then at that point, right, if we do come down, start losing the point of control, the overall longer-term anticipation could be to get that correction down here towards about 103.2 all the way down to about 101,500. Now, does this turn me mega bearish on Bitcoin? Not necessarily, right? We talked about this, for the past few weeks at this point. This would just be kind of another rotation of the range. Still an opportunity to get a higher low here. Very similar to our previous price action here in 2024 that we talked about, right? Let me pull up a higher time frame here. Right, we looked at, you have the very, very clear high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and then you put in a lower high, but it results in a higher low before changing trends and getting a bigger breakout, right? So if we do get down to that value area low, that's kind of why, it's not until we lose this level that I would be anticipating lower prices for Bitcoin, right? We could potentially put that higher low in here, depending on what the charts look like when we approach that key level of support. All right, if things look good, we could look for the bounce. If not, we could put the higher probability on losing that range and potentially cracking the low to continue putting in the high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? That's just the anticipation of the trend. And also, guys, the rejection here, we had another key level above us yesterday that we looked at, which was sitting up here at about 109.5 or 109 to 109,500. But the real rejection, what I would favor here as the rejection is this 786 retracement, right? It's pulled from the previous high to the low. If you're looking for lower highs and lower lows, where is that very likely to come in at? You're going to be looking between the golden pocket and the 786, right? 786 is obviously the favorable level here because you do have the confluence on the value area high. You get the deviation above. Once you lose that level, right? This does technically open the door for a potential lower low to come in at, right? But we have to be aware of that 2024 situation where you could kind of lose this, put in a higher low, and then maybe you start that bigger trend to the upside for a bigger breakout. Definitely in the cards. We lose the 786, just like we talked about all last week and yesterday. That is where I would be looking down towards about $97,000. Now, not only is our point of control here, the 786, daily MPOC, point of control of the range, anchored VWAP, we are potentially, I don't know, we're going to have to get above this anchored VWAP, but it's not just these levels, guys, right? If we turn all this stuff off, I'll turn off the local levels. You guys can see here, I'll get rid of that fib. You guys can see if we pull up that macro point of control, macro volume profile, right? This is also the macro value area high of our larger term range, right? And again, right, the reason if we lose that value area low that I just mentioned, right, we start losing this zone, right? The anticipation there is like, well, hey, if we're not going to put the higher low in here, we're going to anticipate the downtrend to continue. And if we break this low, the next big level to look at is going to be that point of control of the macro range, which is just looking at that simple volume profile theory. Well, hey, if you can't get back above this value area high, anytime we lose this, guys, the doorway is open to come down to that point of control. It was open here. We broke down, retested, could have come down. We got the surprise bounce to the upside. Not really much of a surprise. We were looking at local levels that called for a potential bounce there. But, technically the POC door is open, right? Come back up. Get back in. POC is open. We don't get it just yet, but if we do continue down and we lose that $101,500 value area low right near these daily MPOCs, that's where you're anticipating, well, hey, if there's no higher low, we're going to be looking for that continuation of the downtrend, right? Because it came in at that, the high came in at that 786. The door is open unless we get a surprise higher low there, which hopefully we get. That's where we're going to be looking down towards about $97,000. Frankie, does that make you super bearish on Bitcoin? Not necessarily, right? These are still, we're looking at local levels up here, guys. In the long term, you could even come down to this point of control and get a big bounce. I can't guarantee the bounce from here, right? Maybe we come back down to 90K. Maybe we come down to the full 786 retracement down closer towards about 80 in the low 80,000s, right? We have these three MPOCs. We have the full golden pocket 786 retracement. Well, not the golden pocket, but we do have that 786 sitting right down here as well. And at the end of the day, this would really be the level that we don't want to lose, in my own personal opinion, right? Wicks down here, short-term wicks, right, would be, not really, those would be not appreciated, but accepted, right? But as long as we can, stay above that 786, technically that is the real line in the sand. And I'm not necessarily calling for this. I'm not saying it's guaranteed or anything like that. We have all those local levels that we're looking at. But, we'll see what happens as we approach these key levels of support, right? If it continues to look bearish, we will continue to watch this move continue to the downside, right? So yeah, just to kind of, I don't want to scare everybody with the low 80s, right? Like I'm not necessarily calling for that, but I obviously want you guys to be aware of these levels. We've been talking about them forever, and sometimes it takes a long time to get down there, but hopefully that's not the case, right? Hopefully we can, put in the higher low and then scoot on out of here, right? We've been looking at Coinbase, we've been looking at the SPY, we've been looking at the NQ, making new all-time highs. There is opportunity to put in a higher low here, but again, trading is not about just saying, that's it, the high is in, we're going to zero, right? It's about understanding that you get new information on the charts every day, and luckily, we can react off of that information as the new info comes in. We can actually make changes to our plan, right? You might be, even if you were super bullish up at the all-time highs, right? You could be bullish as long as you entertain the idea and understand where the invalidations are for a bigger move to the downside. You just have to be able to flip-flop on your sentiment there and then just, get on the right side of the price action, which is absolutely beautiful because not only do we make money when price goes up, but we also make it when it goes down. And if we pull up that local volume profile, last week we did have the short setup here for the push into the value area high, looking for those bearish divergences. And then on Sunday, we did get those bearish divergences to pop up right here. I missed my entry on the actual setup in the Discord, so I got a little bit of a later entry after we broke down here on a bearish retest. Last night, right before I went to sleep, I, as you guys know, I felt like garbage yesterday as well. So I did just hop in there based off the 1 hour money flow crossing into the red with a tight stop loss in case we did get that continuation down. And we did indeed get that. Let me see. Am I logged in here? Bada boom. Okay, yeah, beautiful. Let me go ahead and bada boom, bada bing. Let me pull this up real quick. So I am holding that position, pretty small position. Like I said, I wanted it to be low risk. I was going to sleep, but took that position here up about $750 over on Femex. So yeah, obviously we can make money on the way down as well, but Yeah, and we'll see, right? If we do wind up getting stuck inside this volume profile, getting the full rotation, very simple volume profile trade going from the high. Well, I'm not in from the exact high, but I am in from like right here, right? Looking to go from that high, can't break back out. POC is your first major take profit for the most part. And then once you lose that POC, you can look for that full range rotation to the low. Absolutely beautiful, right? And we'll see if that happens, right? Now, I want to talk about the probability, right? Not just the possibility, but the probability of getting a big bounce from this level. Do I think it's likely that the bottom is in here and we're going massively higher? I have to lean on the end of saying no, right? Is it possible? Sure. I hope it is, right? Maybe we get the bounce here and we rip out. That would be very nice. However, couple things that I don't like, right? Number one, we front ran that daily MPOC. It's not impossible to front run levels, right? That's why we look at things as a zone. Even if I pull up the support zones that we were looking at down here, right? This is always going to be a zone, right? We're not just waiting for the daily MPOC to get hit. We don't know if we're going to bounce off the anchored VWAP. We don't know if we're going to bounce off the 786, the POC, or that daily MPOC, right? So you do look at it as a zone, but really what makes me think that any bounce here could be lackluster for a continuation down is going to be based off of the 90-minute money flow crossover into the red with that daily red dot, right? Again, just like the 1 hour, right? That 1 hour money flow crosses over, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, targeting the POC. Same thing here. Any bounce to the upside would have to be looked at as of right now as a lackluster bounce to the upside to potentially put in a lower high, break down, put in a lower low, and then at that point we might get stuck under that point of control and then go for that bigger shot down towards the value area low of the range. Now, what are the key levels that we're looking at up here? It's pretty simple, right? I'm just going to be looking at Fibonacci retracements. I would say about $107,000 is going to be a big key level. We do have some confluence up there. If I pull from the higher low all the way to the actual low here, pull up the golden pocket here. Basically $107,000 is that golden pocket. 786 runs up to about 107,363. And if I just clean up these boxes a little bit to clean up the chart so it's not as confusing looking, if we go ahead and pull this volume profile, right, this is also confluent with the value area low, right? So there's two invalidation levels for a potential bigger continuation to the upside. And you guys could probably front run me on this, right? If we come up and we retrace into this golden pocket 786, right? Maybe you get the rejection, and this would be where you're looking for a potential lower high to come in, right? So if that 90-minute money flow is going to give you the continuation down, which by the way is not 100% guaranteed, right? At the end of the day, you could see that 90-minute money flow fake out, just like we could have seen the 1 hour money flow fake out and give you a move up, right? But trading is a game of probabilities, right? More often than not, I would say about 8 out of 10 times, maybe I would say about 8 out of 10 times, right? You're going to see that money flow give you the continuation, right? So if we do come up here, this will be the level that I'm looking at. This is specifically sitting between about 106,863 and 107,382. If we're going to put in the lower high to continue on down, break the low, and come on down lower. And we do have one more level that I'm looking at down here. But for argument's sake here, if you're going to look for that bigger continuation through the range, this would be the biggest level to get above, in my opinion, right? If you get above that 786, sure, it's not the full golden pocket 786 retracement, but it is 786 of the full fib pull is confluent with the value area high. That's why I'm looking at this, right? Because if we get above that 786, you could say, well, hey, this looks pretty good, right? But you do have to understand you have the value area high above, right? And that's also confluent with the 786. So I just don't want to clutter the chart with like a million different fibs. So that's the reason why I'm not pulling it from the high, because we already have a level of resistance that we're looking at there. So it's not like we're going to miss out on a key level of resistance. But I would say for the most part, right, if you're going to continue that 90-minute money flow crossover into the red, I would say this is going to be the level to look at. Once you get above about 107.5, very high probability that you push into the value area high of not only this micro local range, but also the overall big volume profile that we're watching. And then, hopefully, in the bullish case, you would want to get up out of here and then send it. But money flow is definitely pointing towards a continuation down. And, I know a lot of people might be like, but I don't want it to continue down. Like, why are you saying it's going to go down? It's just based off the charts, right? Just based off the technicals, just like yesterday, that 1 hour money flow crossover. We could have been wrong about this as well. Anytime I bring this stuff up, guys, it's never 100%. But, again, 8 out of 10 times, you're going to see that continuation down. And then the rest of the time, maybe you get a surprise bounce to the upside. So that's what I'm basing my thoughts off of. That's what I'm basing my plans off of. If we continue down, we'll hold that short from almost the top. And then, I will be somewhat interested in maybe looking for a bounce here. But, once we push into this goal, 786 POC anchored VWAP, they're key levels, but, we don't really have a ton of like bullish entry triggers down here, right? Like there's no real bullish divergences on the lower time frames, not even on the 30-minute. You did get some down here on like the 5-minute. You have lower lows, higher lows, money flow starting to cruise up. But again, it's a 5-minute bull div. It's not accompanied by any other higher time frame bullish divergence. So, even if we did get a bounce here, again, that kind of adds to the fact that maybe it will be a lackluster bounce to the upside before continuing down if we don't just dump from where we are right now. Now, on top of that, right, not only do we not have a ton of nice bullish confirmations down here, and, does that mean that you're definitely not going to bounce? Like, at the end of the day, guys, some people just, wait to hit a key level, look for a reaction, and then they enter the trade, right? They might not even be paying attention to bullish divergences. Obviously, if you understand the patterns to look for, and I don't mean trading patterns, I mean like actual discrepancies between momentum and price action, not just like an arbitrary triangle or an arbitrary head and shoulders. But there is one thing on Market Cipher B. Regardless of no bullish divergences, we do actually have the 4-hour pretty oversold here, right? And this is why I would be entertaining at least some kind of a bounce here. And the reason for that is you can see your VWAP on the 4-hour has been down here for quite some time. You got a nice little rounded bottom here. I wish I had Mrs. Candle's hand on the chart so I could spank that thing. But, you do have the VWAP coming up on the 4-hour, and then you also have your 15-minute money flow, which was trying to come up here. Obviously, we are coming out a little bit more currently. But, if you're looking for a retracement to the upside or some kind of a bounce from this level, this is what I would look for, right? 15-minute money flow, you have your low, your higher low, your higher low, and then, if this winds up being a higher low and you get that crossover into the green at the same time as your 4-hour green dot, that would be a bullish Market Cipher B 1/16th setup. However, again, without those bullish divergences, it makes it a little bit more likely, in my opinion, especially based off the money flow, that maybe it will be a lackluster bounce, right? If we had a 4-hour bull div down here, a 1-hour bull div, money flow coming up on the medium time frames, then I would say, well, hey, this looks like a good bottom. But as it stands right now, it's not that there's nothing saying we can't bounce here. I would say the bounce is probably going to be somewhat likely. But again, it's really just based off the Market Cipher B 1/16th, right? And, without those bullish divergences, maybe we get that to play out. Green dot prints, you start pumping to the upside, and then we're going to be watching that key level of resistance. If we get above there, it starts to look a little better. You still have key resistance above, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there, right? We might, if it goes anything like the previous price action recently, guys, we'll go live tomorrow, and we'll just be like, price will have done something like this. And we'll be sitting right here. Hopefully not. But that's kind of been the trend recently on this, just choppy sideways price action. Let's see. Shout out to Crypto Al. Thank you so much for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you very much. He says, yo, Frankie, will you look at BTC weekly chart? 3 drives of bearish divergence. I think it's the first time ever. Shout out to Crypto Al. Yeah, let me go ahead and take a peek at the weekly time frame. Actually, going to pull up a clean chart here real quick. Bada boom, get rid of these, get rid of this, get rid of this, right? So we'll pull up the weekly time frame. Obviously, we did confirm come out of our replay mode. Bada boom. Interesting. Yeah, so we have okay, so here's the thing, right? With that weekly bearish divergence, right? Obviously, we did have one from this high all the way to this high, right? Higher highs on your price action, lower highs on your momentum waves, right? So you do have the bearish divergence there. Yeah, and you also have it here as well, right? So I do see what you're saying, Al. Higher highs, lower highs, right? So you do have, technically price coming up, momentum coming to the downside. Interesting, this weekly green dot printing here is this is quite interesting, right? Money flow continuing to the upside. This is, listen, is this like the most bearish thing I've ever seen? I wouldn't necessarily say so, right? You can look at any time, maybe on the weekly time frame. Al, you might be right about that. I can't really think of a time off the top of my head where we had 3 drives like that. Yeah, I mean, could it be super, super bearish? Maybe, right? Could it signal the top of the bull market? Maybe. It's not the camp that I fall in because of all the reasons that I give almost every single live stream. I'm not going to go over all of them right now. But, for this bearish divergence to even be printing, we would need a red dot. Now, with that being said, this green dot does not, if this VWAP comes back down below the 0 line, the green dot disappears, it's still just technically the same bearish divergence we've been looking at, right? Because you have the highs, higher highs, lower highs, right? So if that green dot unprints, we're not going to get another red dot. So in my opinion, it would just, if we do see more downside, maybe we get the bigger pullback to 97K like I just covered in the beginning of the live stream. It wouldn't really be an addition of another weekly bearish divergence. It would just be the continuation of this one, right? If this green dot confirms, then we'll have an opportunity to put in another red dot. So yeah, I mean, this is part of the reason why, we have been talking about a correction, potentially to 97 or even $90,000. Even that, the reason that's even in my, line of sight, right? The only reason I'm willing to entertain that is because we had some of these bearish confirmations, right? So yeah, it's not something that I'd be like, oh my God, warning, warning, warning. There was a time where it was like, hey, we have bearish confirmations printing, but nothing really new here, to be honest, right? If you get that red dot to disappear, it's going to be the same thing, just looking at that same bearish divergence. So hopefully that clears it up for you, Al. But yeah, also like, I don't know, money flow coming up here on the weekly, like, I don't want to say it guarantees a move to the upside, but it is really nice to see that, right? You still have an opportunity to put in another lower high, right? So, it's all about trend on money flow. Could this just be another lower high before you get a bigger crossover into the red? Maybe. But, this is like as good of a sign as you can get, right? Like, it's not tanking to the downside, which is good. So, yeah, and then taking a look at the 2-day as well, right? 2-day money flow still pretty healthily in the green. If we, just like we looked at the 1-hour red dot with the 1-hour money flow crossover with the 16-hour red dot yesterday, and now we're looking at the daily red dot with the 90-minute money flow crossover. If this continues us down, right, the daily and the 90, we would just look up towards the 2-day, right? And the 2-day red dot would also be potentially rolling over on top of that, because if you zoom in here, I don't know if you guys can see this at home, but you can see that VWAP is rolling over, right? So we would anticipate some kind of a red dot to come in here as well, at some point soon, maybe this week. We'll see how fast price action moves. But yeah, not something I would weekly bear div. Again, we've kind of already covered that. I wouldn't say there's any like new developments on it, but they are there. You're definitely seeing that correctly, brother. So shout out to Crypto Al. Thank you for the super chat and the good question, bro. Let's see. Thanks. Hey, shout out to Crypto Al. You don't got a super chat again, bro. I appreciate you, though. Thank you so much. Hopefully that helps you out. If you have any other further questions, you don't have to you could just send a free chat. I'll try to see him in there. But I appreciate you so much, bro. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Nirvana. Yo, mustache rides is crazy, bro. Oh, my God. Anyway, let's continue on here. Shout out to Slim Shift Media. Says, I just got back from plant shopping. They wouldn't let me get as much as I wanted. Got to go back again tomorrow. Weird California laws. Yeah, I know. I heard California's crazy. If you want, I'm sure you're buying palm trees. Yeah, they only allow you to buy one palm tree at a time. It's crazy. Anyway, let's continue on. Shout out to the Cali boys out there. Shout out to Base Bailey. Said, Frankie, no more red allowed. No more red allowed, guys. All right, up only. Bitcoin's going to the moon. And again, guys, like, even though we have these local, I know Base Bailey, I know you know this, bro. But, again, just because we're looking for more downside does not mean that we're looking to go down forever, right? But, we'll see what happens as we develop. Again, even if we get down to 97K, right? Like, this is just something that's in the cards. And, we were almost already at 97K. So it's not like we're going, from 105,000 to 80,000. That would be a little bit more scary, especially because it's really close to our line in the sand for the continuation of the overall uptrend. So, yeah, I would say, like, my long-term sentiment right now pretty much remains the same, right? I'm just cautiously optimistic, especially when you look at things like the SPY, etc. Right? Like SPY put in the new all-time highs. Coin. We looked at a bunch of stuff yesterday. I'm not going to cover that. I want to save some time today. It's going to be a bit of a shorter stream, but it, again, like all those things are still remain the same. Though that major sentiment won't change, until we see way more time go by, right? Again, I feel like sometimes I struggle to separate the short term from the long term, right? We cover a lot of short term stuff on this channel because we're riding the ups and downs, right? Again, it's not just the pushes to the upside where we make money, we also make money on the dumps to the downside. So, that's just local. Even if we came down here, I would still be pretty bullish, right? We start losing this, it's not all over, right? But it just might be a little bit of a longer continuation down. And again, once we start seeing some significant signs on the chart that are calling for much more downside, right? I will be the first person to let you guys know. But again, even if you're just looking at this from a more simple standpoint, say you're looking at this as a little bit of a bull flag, right? So if you're perfect downtrend being respected, it wouldn't even be impossible to come down here. Again, $101,000 is kind of the level I want to hold, but maybe continuation of the bull flag, right? And then when we pulled over coin, right, we pull up coin and we drop it on top of this chart here, you guys can see it was a very, 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 very similar situation. And again, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I covered this so many days in a row, but I think it's important, right? Pin that to the left, bada boom, bada bing, right? So let me just kind of move this around a little bit. So you can kind of see, right, like before coin broke out, right, it was in a very similar pattern, right? You just have like the continuous lower highs, you break down to that trend line, you retest it, and then you get the big rip to the upside. Are we just going to go for another rotation here? Potentially, but hopefully we could see something more like this. Like, I mean, hopefully we just bounce out from here, right? I think everybody would want that. But, again, you come down to that 103 to 101K zone, like you're getting pretty close to just rotating that bull flag again, right? And again, not that I would trade the bull flag, but it is just, simple support and resistance here, right? So, yeah. Let me come back in the chat real quick. Bada boom. Yeah, shout out to Hugo said, was lurking, but did I hear you say short stream? Okay, buddy. Shout out to Hugo's. That's pretty funny. It's like, I was lurking, but I'm not letting you get away with that, Frankie. But yeah, let's continue on here real quick. Shout out to David says, I see Bitcoin failing the low 90K or even lower, mostly because every YouTuber's saying, buy now, we're going to bounce from here, which is never right. Thank you for being different. Shout out to David. I appreciate that, bro. And I will say, just in general, when it comes to looking at markets like this, being a contrarian or different is like almost always going to be beneficial for you, right? So like when you, and I like the thought process there. It's like when everyone starts calling from a bounce from a certain level, very oftentimes you don't see it, right? And again, that's not just because we're better, right? Or anything like that, just with the TI that we look for. And, if a bounce from this level was heavily supported by the technicals, to be honest with you, based off of how I run my channel and how I trade individually, right? Like personally, I would have to say like, hey guys, it looks good for a bounce here, right? Just like, if we saw that 1 hour money flow crossover and, smash the like button if you guys were here yesterday looking at, I try to be as specific as possible. Like if you want the continuation of the downside, that 1 hour money flow crossover is what to look for. It's never to brag, it's to show that it played out. Like there was a potential possibility that didn't play out, in which case the conversation we'd have right now would be like, well guys, that 1 hour money flow crossover looked good for downtrend, but it faked out and went back into the green, right? But again, it's always a probability game. So, yeah, I would agree with you. Usually the masses are wrong, but be careful because if the masses are calling for one thing and it's supported by the technicals, sometimes the masses get it right as well, right? And that's why I just always try to, I don't even watch any crypto content. I don't really, I'll talk to people once in a while in my personal life about crypto, but I cover crypto every day with you guys, right? So I try to keep, even in the chat sometimes, right? I'll see someone like look at something and maybe the majority of the chat is like, oh my God, we're bearish or whatever it is, right? I try not to let that seep into my sentiment, right? Like, and I was specifically tested on that. To be like just fully transparent with you guys, right? Like as a content creator coming up here every day and like trying my best to give the most accurate technical analysis that I can, right? It's sometimes it gets a little bit stressful because it's like, down here everyone was very, very bearish, but I couldn't unsee the technicals. I covered this all the time, right? It's like, well, hey, we came into the 786. If I'm looking for a higher low and a higher high, this is the level to do it at, right? Like this is the zone to look at. This is the zone to look for it at, right? And then when you pair that with some of the bullish confirmations that we were seeing with lower lows on our price action, higher lows, bullish divergence on this is the 2-day, but we also really what I was looking at was the daily, right? We were looking for this exact confirmation all the way back in February. And it took a lot of time to see that play out. But like everyone was super bearish. I would be lying to you guys if I don't like think to myself like, man, is there something I'm missing? I'm an agnostic trader. And that's on purpose, right? If someone goes against like I do this in my life, right? Like I like to pick people's brains who disagree with me, not to argue with them or fight with them, but because I want to make sure that I want to make sure that I have a high probability of being right? But when you have things like this on the chart and people are just bearish because we've been going down for so long, it's not really a good reason to just expect more downside, right? When the charts are pointing in the opposite direction, that's how we can make a lot of these contrarian calls is because we're different. So I forgot exactly who said that, but shout out to you, man. I appreciate that so much. You're always gonna get like bare bones raw information from this channel. I will never just give fake hopium. And listen, we also had a plan for a continuation down. We could have been wrong about this. The chart could have been wrong about this, right? At the end of the day, in which case we'd be like, well, hey, pull dip didn't give us anything. Now we're going to look down to the next key level. We're setting the traps in the market and reacting as price action taps them. If we don't get the confirmations, we don't look for the moves. If we do, we take a shot. Sometimes the TA is wrong and you get stopped out, and that's totally fine. So yeah, shout out to you, man. I appreciate you so much. Let's continue on here. Yo, shout out to Genius. Yeah, that is low-key genius. He said, for newbies, you can buy BTC today and leave it alone for 10 years. You will see a return. I don't like being super, super, super deterministic on my market analysis, but I would put a like dang near 99% probability on that, right? Like, could Bitcoin go to zero? If you're not expecting Bitcoin to ever go to zero, that is probably going to be true, right? We talk about that a lot, right? Like, you could have bought any all-time high and held it long enough and eventually wound up in profit, right? If you bought the tippy wick top, which honestly would have been pretty difficult here, but if you bought the tippy wick top here, you would still, current at this price, be up 51%, right? You just got to wait. Sometimes you might have to wait 1,400 days. But, again, that's what I tell people in my family. Like, my family comes to me like, oh, what should I buy? I'm like, listen, just wait until everybody is terrified. Wait for the bear market, buy it, and hold it for 10 years, right? And I usually point them towards Bitcoin. But yeah, let's see. Shout out to Doc, said, who else is praying for a return to the 90s? Shout out to Doc. I don't really have a real preference there, right? Like, a pullback to the 90s is, I would be fine with that. Maybe for my current short, I would like that. I would pray for it. But I don't really have too much of a favor here. Like, if we get the big rip to the upside, I'll stop out, nearly break even on my short, and then the spot bags will pump. I don't really have a personal... here, I really, really would have favored personally a move to the upside, which was nice because we got it. But here, I don't really have this would just be, I would say for content, I wouldn't even mind a move down, right? Because, it's exciting, at least in, even though it's bad and scary. Move to the downside gives us something to talk about. But if we get the move up, I'm just going to say I hope that we get a move up. But obviously, charts potentially open to 90K. Why do I say 90K? Well, frankly, what happened to 97K? Well, 97K is obviously going to be a big level, but when you look at the macro volume profile, right, $90,000, 90,500 is the value area low, right? So the question is, are we finally going to break out of this range? Or are we going to come back down, get reaccepted, put in the lower low, lose the POC? If that were the case, 90,500 is in the cards, and potentially lower into the 80s as well, as I just covered. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts here locally. Nice to see the short play out a little bit, even though I got a later entry than the setup in the Discord, but at least I was able to capitalize a little bit on that. And again, we do have, I don't want to confuse everybody with all the levels we have down here, but just to recap before we move on to some of the altcoins: POC, anchored VWAP, we have the local 786, the daily MPOC just underneath us, and on top of that, right, macro value area high. And I believe, even some of our local scalp levels, right? We're coming into the highs of the local scalp range here. So, not impossible to get the bounce there. But again, based off money flow, we would have to anticipate lower highs and lower lows. If we don't get it, then no problem, right? Hopefully we can catch a long position to ride it back to the upside. But I would say the charts are probably money flow-wise continuing towards maybe a lackluster bounce, lower highs. And again, that 107.3 to 107 to 107, I would say 6 is that line in the sand, right? The Fibonacci levels that we just went over in the beginning of the stream. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just scrub back, listen to me in 2x speed if you dare, and meet us back in the present. So there we go. Let's see. Perry says, why don't use the fib from the top? Shout out to Perry. Great question, bro. We are looking at the fib from the top. I just separated it to a separate level, right? So let me actually just pull that, because that's a great question, right? Because this would be your major swing high, right? The all-time high all the way to the current low. That 786 does sit right up here. Number one, right, you don't have to tap the 786 necessarily. It's obviously going to be the zone between the golden pocket and the 786 that you're looking for the retracement at. But why was I looking at that other 786 pulled from the lower high right here? Well, it was very confluent with our value area high. And we don't know, right? We might have rejected this, which obviously we now would know we did, right? But we don't know, right? If we got above this, I just have that secondary 786 sitting up there. We don't know if we're going to reject this first fib retracement or the second one, right? This would be the last line in the sand, though, right? Once you get above here, it starts to feel a lot better, right? Because that's the full invalidation of a lower high. But if you reject here, this is kind of what I covered yesterday, right? You're also rejecting that trend line, right? And the 786 Fibonacci retracement. So, there's always going to be an opportunity to bounce at the first. And I actually talked to the premium Discord about this in our premium live stream recently, because I think there's a lot of confusion on where you should pull fibs from. And this actually does have something to do with discretion, right? Everybody uses fibs differently. The way I personally use them is I'll pull them from swing highs to swing lows, or swing lows to swing highs, or swing highs to swing lows. But in the case of is this a valid fib pull from this high, from this low to this high? Absolutely, right? But you'll see that we did not come all the way down to that full fib retracement from the low all the way to the high. Let's pretend this is the current price action up here, right? You might front run that golden pocket, right? But if you pull from the higher low, you can see we actually tapped into the golden pocket. So if you're looking at this fib, are you wrong? No. I mean, it's a valid fib pull from a swing low to a swing high. I'm going to give a little sauce here, right? But for me personally, I understand that there is a possibility of getting a rejection or, in this case, a bounce, which I guess you could still consider a rejection of support, or acceptance of support. I don't know how you would word that. But I understand that, like, well, hey, are there any other fibs that I can look at here locally that we might get an early bounce off of? Well, I say, hey, low, high, local, higher, low. I could pull from this swing low as well, right? And then you can see that is the fib that we bounced off of. So on the way down, typically what I'll do, a little bit of sauce, is I will look at the first local fib. Right, if we come down into that fib and you start getting confirmations, well, hey, you might be able to get a bounce from that early fib, right? But if you start breaking down below that golden pocket, you start breaking down below the 786, that's where I would say, well, hey, last line in the sand is pulled from technically this low, right, all the way down here, the full fib retracement. Actually, I'd probably pull it from here, to be honest. But again, there's a lot of discretion in that, right? Like some people say, well, hey, you have to pull this from the full low. Well, it's like I'm aware that I can pull from this low, but I also am aware that I can bounce early from the local fib. So I always start a little bit earlier with the first significant fib, and then if we start breaking those levels, I'll say, well, hey, maybe we hold the last line of defense, right, which would be the full Fibonacci retracement. Does that make sense? Everybody uses these tools different. There's really no wrong way to do it. Now, would I just pull a fib, from the middle of this candle to the middle of this candle? Like, no, right? That would be the wrong way to do it. But when it comes from, like, swing highs to swing lows, there is a little bit of discretion there. So that's exactly what I did here, right? You have the local high to the low, right? If we broke above that 786, I'd say, well, hey, if we didn't reject this high and we broke above here, I would just say, well, hey, last line of defense is going to be pulled from the all-time high. Once we break above that, right, the idea of continuing your lower highs is pretty much invalidated, right? That would be the line in the sand for a break to all-time highs. Very similar to how it was back here, right? So hopefully that helps you out. Let's see. Shout out to shout out to Booger Weed, I think is what that says. Says, Frankie, always wondered where to pull anchored VWAPs from. The low, high, close, or one of the mathematical levels. Yeah, shout out to Booger Weed. I think that's what that says. Shout out to you, man. I actually have a tutorial video showing you exactly where I like to pull my anchored VWAPs from. Again, with the anchored VWAP, I would argue there's like really no wrong way to pull it, right? Because all this is doing, right, all the anchored VWAP is doing is calculating volume of candles, right? If you start it here, right, it's taking all these candles into consideration, right, and not taking any of these candles into consideration, right, because it's only calculating what is to the right of your pull, right? Now, exactly where I like to pull them, go watch that anchored VWAP video. Tony, if you could drop that link in the chat, or one of the mods, if you guys can drop that, I'd greatly appreciate it. I show you exactly where I like to pull them from and how I use it to call long-term moves to the upside, as well as how I use it to find local sniper entries into shorter-term trades. But I would say the anchored VWAP, you can pull this randomly, right? Is this wrong? No. Right? Is it strategically the best place to pull it? Maybe not. But there's really no wrong way because it's just calculating volume, right? You can't say that like, oh, calculating all this volume in these candles is wrong, right? Kind of weird that pulling it from this low brings us right to where we're bouncing from or looking to tap right now. But some people pull these from all over. Some people pull them from the beginning of sessions. There's all different places. I have my preferences. Go watch that tutorial. It'll break everything down for you in full. So yeah, hopefully that helps you out. Let's see. Shout out to Nirvana said in France, you can't pull your fib in public. You can't pull your fib publicly. Publicly, yes, you can't do that here either, unfortunately. I've learned the hard way. All right, let's see. Every time I'm like out to dinner with Mrs. Candle, she's like, hey, don't pull that fib out in public. Put your phone away. And I'm like, okay, sorry. Anyway, let's continue on. Shout out to Captain Kirk in the chat. What is going on, CandleMafia Mama? Thank you for being here. Show Cap some love in the chat. Shout out to Gen Z. Said, guys, I was the one with the fib question in the premium. I don't know how to use my fib. Shout out to Gen Z, bro. All right, let's continue on here. I do want to take a look at Ethereum with you guys. We'll keep an eye here on the price action as it develops. But I do want to cover some of the alts. I'm going to cover the alts briefly today. Like I said, I do want to try to get to bed a little early tonight and hopefully not actually be sick. I don't think I'm sick, guys. I think I'm just run down. I don't know what's going on. A lot of pulling. A lot of pulling going on here. Shout out to Bree. Yeah, cover your eyes. Cover your eyes. Welcome to the Candle Mafia. Yo, Tony Roaz says, Frankie, you'll go blind if you keep pulling your fib. Shout out to Tony Roaz. Don't want to be blind, that is for sure. Tremor said Frankie's a habitual fib puller. I'm not going to lie. I wish TradingView had like fun analytics that showed you like how many fibs you've pulled, how many anchored VWAPs you pulled. My fixed range volume profile number would probably be astronomical. I'm talking millions. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump on into Ethereum really quickly here, guys. I know a lot of people are probably curious. And let's take a look. Bada boom. I was gonna say I was one tab too early there. I was like, oh my god, all our TA is gone. So yeah, Ethereum, to be honest, kind of in the same situation that it was yesterday, right? We're just playing around with this value area low. If you lose this, I mean, I'll tell you this. I'll say pulling your fib. Speaking of pulling fibs, from the low all the way to the, where's the tippy high here? Right about here. Key levels down below, right? Like I would say if you get rejected out of this volume profile, did you reject a local fib here? We actually talked about this yesterday. Pretty funny how this theme becomes, someone asked the question and it's like, I get to show an example perfectly here. So, you have the pull from the lower high to the lower low. You have your golden pocket 786 right here. Even if you pull it to the next lower high, you have confluence here on the value area low in the golden pocket, 786 just above. We don't know if you're going to reject this one. You don't know if you're going to come up and reject this one. I just have the full fib pulled here because this is going to be like the most, not only is it the most like macro level that you could look at locally here, but also you have the confluence here. Golden pocket POC, golden pocket value area high 786, right? So you do have the confluence there as well. But I would say, if you can't get reacceptance into this value area low, point of control still sitting here at 2320, right? That's a big key level to stay above. If you stay above the POC, technically the continuation up is open, right? The doorway to continue to the upside is open. If you lose the point of control, I'll be honest, we front ran the value area low here. Biggest key level is the value area low at $2,100, right? If you come back down, you got to be paying attention to the point of control. If you lose the point of control at that point, you might look to come tap that value area low. But locally, I'll hide this bigger fib that we bounced off of. I would say, coming down here, losing the POC, this golden pocket 786 zone would technically be the level you want to hold. Right? I'll be honest. If we can get some bullish confirmations down here, I mostly trade Bitcoin, but if we were able to come down here with some nice confirmation, right? Might even look for a long on Ethereum as well, right? Because you also, you're longing right into resistance, but if you could flip that POC and fill that range in full, that would be pretty nice in my opinion. So trying to cling on to that value area low for its life here. So yeah, that is sitting at about 24.22. If you reject here, point of control at 23.20, and then this fib zone does sit between 22.74 and $2,200. Once you break that 786, fully anticipating the tap of the value area low. And then if we lose that, we could start entertaining some of the lower levels that we have down here closer to $1,900. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Locally, just still trying to bing bong around here on that value area low. All these levels are still relevant with the addition of this new fib. Not new fib, but I just didn't talk about this yesterday. I don't think. Maybe we did. Shout out to Crypto Al said ETH looking stronger than Bitcoin. I mean, if we look at the market cipher B, right? You had the 16-hour red dot, which printed yesterday as well. This obviously looked very similar to Bitcoin. And what happened on Ethereum, right? I mean, you get the money flow crossover, you get the little continuation down, but yeah, it is looking pretty decent, right? It's looking a little bit stronger. I would actually agree with you there, but you do have to be careful of that daily red dot potentially incoming, very similar to yesterday, right? That we were looking at on Bitcoin. We'll see. We'll see if we can get the, maybe you hold here, come up into your fib levels, 2620 up to about, 2700. Be careful of the rejection here. Once you break above that 786, I think the doorway is open to about 3,000 to 3,150 at our golden pocket daily MPOC. Same target we've been looking at forever. So we'll see if we can get that bigger pullback. I might be interested in longs there. Money flow on the daily also technically coming to the downside. Same thing on Bitcoin, right? Like daily red dot, money flow crossing into the red potentially here. For not getting the bigger continuation down, I mean, obviously for Bitcoin going down to about 103 to 101K. But, I mean, this daily money flow crosses over as we come down here, guys. That could start to look like a little bit of the bigger drop down to 97K or below. Right, and we'll see how that develops. But yeah, I mean, technically daily money flow coming out as well. So if we're going to get the higher low or even like yeet on up to all-time highs from here, which again, I would put a little lower probability on that, you would really need this money flow to fake out in a really big way. This is obviously trending down. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, that's what I'd be looking at on Ethereum. Taking a look at the weekly here quick. Yeah, you got the weekly green dot as well. Money flow, just dying to come into the green here. So yeah, my longer-term sentiment has not changed. Let's see. Shout out to web page creator says, hey, everybody, just getting in 800 plus watching, only 200 plus likes. Hit that dang like button, guys. Smash that like button. Let me hit the button on the stream deck here. Smash that like button if you guys have not already. If you appreciate this, not only free live analysis, but also the free education that we give here. Just gave a full Fibonacci course right there. If you appreciate it, smash that like button. Push us into that algorithm. 3, 2, 1. Smash that like button. Let's get 550. If we get 550 likes, I don't know. I'll add something to the giveaway on Friday. Game used CandleMafia mug. Game worn, dirty, sweaty, hot Frankie Candles hat. I don't know. I'm kidding. I'll give you guys new stuff. But anyway, let's continue on here. Shout out to the King of Bitcoin. What is going on? Said, how you doing, Frankie? Shout out to the King of Bitcoin. I am doing well. Feel kind of like garbage physically, but can't really complain. I appreciate you for being here. Shout out to the King of Bitcoin. I mean, he is the king of Bitcoin. All right, let's see. And Vegas Claw in the chat. Let's go. All right, let's continue on. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at Solana, or Solonzo, as your grandmother might call it. Let me go ahead and change this setting on the fib to get rid of those extension levels. And let's take a look here. So what did we look at yesterday, guys? If we get the bigger correction from the golden pocket, what is the level to watch? Right here at the golden pocket, 786, point of control confluence. I would argue that potentially one of your anchored VWAPs flies through here as well. Look at that. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Now, does this guarantee a bounce? Not necessarily. I would say the thing you have going for you on Solana, like I talked about yesterday, is that you have come down to the value area low. You made it to the POC. You are still above that point of control. So if you can hold this level, right, not just the 786, but also that point of control of the range, stay above here, right, the doorway is open to get that full 786 retracement and the full rotation of the profile. If we start losing the 786. Now, remember, the POC does act as a magnet for price. I show this almost every single live stream, right? You can kind of like cling to that point of control. It is the area where the most volume was transacted, making it the strongest magnet within the profile. You can see even here, you cling to it, break above, lose it, come back down, come back up. You kind of cling to it, come back up. So, you could kind of cling to this level a little bit. But I would say, for the most part, if you could stay above that point of control, doorway to the value area high, and that 786 is open. If this is going to be the lower high, right, to put in a lower low, value area low is the biggest level to look at. We don't really want to break down below that. If we do, we could potentially look down towards the bigger retracement level at the 786 at $115, right? $114.86. Because what happened here, right? We got the move up. We pull the fib from the low to the high. From the low to the high, right? And then where are we looking for key support? Well, you have your value area low golden pocket. Where'd you get the bounce from, right? This is your value area low, undervalued price. As you deviate below there, looking for the full rotation, potentially the POC, and then potentially the full rotation of the value area high. That would be the full anticipation, right? But if we're going to continue to put in lower lows, lose the POC, lose the not this 786. There's a full 786 of this local move. If we break down below that POC, come back down to the value area low. Once we start breaking that low, right? Major 786. We got the bounce from the golden pocket. If that's not the low, this is your last chance to put in a macro higher low before getting a bigger move to the upside. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. As of right now, I'll just cover the lower local levels with you guys. Get this out of the way. Get this out of the way. Bada boom, right? So local levels, this is your blue box. You do not want to lose this. Ending at about 141.91. Top of it comes in at about 145.89. So just watch that. If you lose it, biggest key level is going to be that value area low, right? And then, I'll just pull this local fib for you guys as well. We'll just give you everything here. This entire move, right, technically losing the 786 at about 133.14 is where I would expect to potentially come down and take that low. So there you go. All right, let's continue on here. Vegas Claw is the kind of guy that refuses to buy honey and just chews on bees. Shout out to Dutchy. Bro, is there a name for that kind of joke? I love those jokes. Let's see. I'm trying to see if Vegas Club put one of those jokes in here. They crack me up every time. All right, let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Shout out to Giga Longbottom. Said, Frankie, I tokenized my house and lost it. Longing fart coin. Shout out to Giga Longbottom. I assume that's not true. But shout out to you, bro. Don't put your house up, guys. Don't put your house up. Top G in the chat said, check out Whiff. I'm stuck in a trade. Shout out to Top G. Maybe we'll take a look at Whiff. We haven't taken a look at Whiff in quite some time. So, yeah, on Solana, we'll just see if we can get that bounce. Again, this would continue our low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Then you could potentially look for the break of structure to the upside into that 786. We lose it, looking down towards those lower levels. Let's see. Wonder if there's any blood diamonds. Shout out to Crypto Al. Well, actually, I will check. Typically, what I like to look for on blood diamonds are like higher time frame blood diamonds. Not that they're not useful on lower time frames, but really the significant ones are, like you can see here, 16-hour red dot, decent pullback, and then, when they start coming in pairs like that, typically they are a little bit more significant. This one didn't really give you much. Yeah, no daily blood diamonds. We could check Bitcoin as well. No daily, no 3-hour blood diamond, no daily blood diamond, no 16, no 12-hour. Yeah, I mean, we don't really have any significant ones as of right now. So there you go. Shout out to Crypto Al. Quick little check-in on the blood diamonds. All right, let's see. Pepe. Hype. Hype at the volume profile. Let's take a look at Hype because we looked at this yesterday. Shout out to Morgan J. If you get it, if you know, you know. Let's take a look at Hype real quick. Where is the Hype chart? XC chart? No. I'm on the wrong. Keep doing that. Let me drag that over there so I stop doing that. All right, let's see here. Okay, so what did we look at on Hype yesterday? Yeah, this is crazy, man. All right, so yesterday on Hype, right, I believe this was the golden pocket we were looking at. Today's the 1st. So, yeah, that was the golden pocket that we were rejecting, right? If we get the bigger pullback, you're looking for your first local fib, right? This is very similar to what I just explained at the beginning of the stream for anyone trying to learn how to pull fibs, right? Your local Fibonacci retracement from the local low to the high, right? Sat here, golden pocket 786 retracement. Golden pocket was confluent with the value area low. If you're looking for aggressive bounces, this would be the place to do it to then get accepted back into your range. But what happened here, you wound up rejecting that point of control, golden pocket confluence. You do not hold the local Fibonacci retracement. And where would be the next place to look down to? You're looking down towards that full retracement of the larger move from the swing low to the swing high. Golden pocket, I would put more favor on the 786 value area high because there is more confluence down here. There's really nothing on that golden pocket. Not that you can't bounce on it, but again, it's just about putting more weight on the more significant levels. I would say the more significant level there is the value area high 786, sitting between 3686 and 3664, right? So maybe we play around in this blue zone for a little bit. Hopefully you can hold that 786. If you lose that 786, not only are you losing the full Fibonacci retracement from that last push to the upside, but you're also potentially getting accepted into, I'm going to keep this off the chart, you're also getting accepted inside your potential lower area of value, right? So if you lose that 786, the next place I would look down to is going to be that POC. In which case, maybe if we pull our full fib from this entire move down, do we have any confluence down there? Not really. I mean, you have a pretty big zone here. 786 comes in at about 33,144, and then you have the daily MPOC value area low closer to $32, right? And we got the golden pocket on the POC. So I would actually say, like, your next big levels of support, if you get accepted into this range, I would potentially be interested in looking at that golden pocket point of control confluence. If you lose the POC, again, you could be at risk of filling that range in full. It's really going to depend on what price looks like when you get down to that golden pocket POC confluence. I'll actually pull that up on the chart right now. Pull from the low all the way to the high. So you do have a little bit of confluence on that POC. And then you also have, I would probably prefer that value area low tap if you lose the point of control. Honorable mention 786 at 33.14. You could bounce there, but again, at that point, you're so close to the value area low. If I'm looking for a range to not fill in full, I'm really anticipating a bounce off the POC. Once you lose the POC, the chances of coming down to that value area low are extremely likely. Not possible to bounce, but again, just reason why I would put less weight on that 786 rather, I put more weight down here on that confluence and the idea and the context of that value area low being a high probability target of that fulfill the range. So there you go. That's what I'd be looking at on Hype. Taking a look at Market Cipher B real quick. Actually, let me get the this golden pocket back on there. Get rid of the brushes. Okay, so those are the next key levels, right? So 34.90 down to about 34.57, and then again honorable mention at the 786, and then down here between 32.55 and 32.14, right? These are the next big key levels to look at for Hype. Take a look at market cipher B. Yeah, I mean, money flow technically trending out. VWAP coming down, so you could potentially continue down. I really wouldn't want to get it. If you get accepted into this range, I'm definitely looking down towards that point of control. Red dot prints. Let's check that 90-minute money flow. Very similar situation as Bitcoin, guys. Whoops. Money flow starting to cruise down here, right? If you get that, 90-minute money flow crossover into the red, daily red dot prints, that is a market cipher B bearish setup for a potential push to the point of control. So there you go. That's what I would look at on hype. Let's see here. Shout out to Dutchie. Said, I swear in 2 hours, Frankie talks more than I do in 4 weeks. Shout out to Dutchie. I'm not going to lie. Every time I get off this live stream, actually last night, Mrs. Candles was roasting me. She was like talking to me, and I was just like staring at the wall, drooling because I felt like garbage, and also had been talking for 2 hours straight. And she's like, I'm talking to you. And I'm like, huh? And she's like, geez, you were like brain dead after your stream. And yeah, I use up all my talking time on this live stream. And I know that you guys might think like, hey, Frankie Candles, he yaps on the internet. Funny enough, guys, I am very much an introvert, which is kind of crazy when you see me screaming on YouTube every single day. But I am very much an introvert. I'm an introvert that can be an extrovert, but I'm definitely naturally an introvert. Frank is the type of guy to like girls on Tinder based on their personality. Shout out to Vegas Claw, bro. You crack me up, bro. Anyway, let's continue on here. Can you look at Dogecoin? Yeah, we can take a look at Doge real quick, and then we'll also take a look at WIF. Take a look at some dogs today. Shout out to all the dogs out there. If you're with a dog, give him a tap on the head. Good boy. Good girl. This is from Frankie Candles. Good boy. Good boy. Shout out to all the dogs out there. Dog Maxi, guys. Dog Maxi. All right. Well, hey, we looked at Dogecoin yesterday, actually, as we were tapping up against that value area low, right? Resistance until you can get that acceptance back in. I would say if you continue down here, key level, I would be looking at, again, back to the Fibonacci retracements, guys. I would say this will be your full pull of this entire move up, technically, right? But if we move this up, right, we're losing that local 786. Technically, you could look at that, right? So you're losing that right now. So I would say honorable mention. I mean, if you sweep this low, maybe you can get a little bit of a bounce. But the bigger level, in my opinion, would be sitting down here between about 15 and 0.148, right? You do not want to lose this 786. If you lose this 786, probably going to go ahead and pull up a higher time frame here real quick. Probably. Let me find, do we have any daily MPOCs down there? Will this work? Trading View, are you going to be nice to me right now? Let's see. No, you're not. Okay. That's okay. We will improvise. Let's take a look at the weekly MPOCs. Okay, so you do have a weekly MPOC down here. I think we had this on the chart yesterday. Yeah, there it is. Okay, I was going to say. I'm pretty sure we looked at that level. So, yeah, I would say you lose that local 786. I don't really see any local levels underneath that. Let me pull this fib from the swing to swing. Okay. So if you lose where we're basically at right now, 15.157, you can't hold this 786. I'd be looking down here. You lose this, you could be on your way for a much bigger move to the downside, in my opinion, right? Potentially targeting the weekly MPOC at about 12 cents. 12.5 cents almost. You are hitting support here technically, right? You come down to the golden pocket, you get the bounce. You lose the golden pocket, no, not even, man. You lost that. It's really a reclaim here. I don't know if I would pay much attention to this, to be honest with you. You don't have a daily level here as well, or you do not have a daily there. You did have one, but you're breaking through it. Yeah, I would just say if you continue down, I would say 0.153 down to 0.148, and then if you start losing that, you might be able to get that move down to the weekly MPOC at about 12.5 cents. We'll see if we could find any new stuff here as we come down, but this is still the next key level support. We looked at this yesterday. We're just getting a little bit closer to it. 0.153, 0.148. That is the key level. This weekly MPOC, I believe, is tapped. Yeah, this is tapped, so that's what we're bouncing off of right now. So, yeah, you really want to remain above this zone. You break the 786, you're also losing that weekly MPOC. Next big level I see on the chart is 12.5 cents. I hope we don't have to do it. But it is definitely not impossible. Yeah, yikes. But we'll see. It's not over yet. It's not over till the fat dog sings. All right, let's see here. Weekly money flow is in the red. VWAP trying to come up. The one nice thing about coming up, I know, nobody wants to hear that, but if you do come down here, it's a possibility, depending on how fast you drop, if you can make a higher low on that weekly momentum wave, you might be able to get a weekly bull div. You have to, again, we'll have to see what happens if you get down there, but weekly money flow coming out. Let's check the daily real quick. Daily money flow is already in the red. I'd probably prefer, daily red dot printing. Let's check the 90-minute money flow, crossover into the red. So just from a market cipher perspective, right, like I would say any bounces here based off 90-minute money flow and the daily red dot could be lackluster for lower lows to come. So definitely this is your big key level of support to look at. Same thing as yesterday. Just getting eerily closer to that level. So yeah. Blaze. Oh yeah, shout out to Smoking Wrench. We'll take a look at Whiff and Blaze as well. Oh no, we couldn't find a chart on Blaze. Yeah, if you can get me a I mean, unless this, I don't know if this is it. This is going to be like impossible to do TA on anyway, if that is even it. I could not find a chart for Blaze. You might have to pull up like a different, it might just not be on, you might not be able to get it on TradingView. Yeah, dang. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a chart on this. If you could try to get me like an exact ticker, but I don't know if you're going to be able to get a TradingView chart on this. If we can, I will definitely do some TA on it. Let's take a quick look at Whiff. Take a look at Whiff the CandleMafia. Let's see. Try to get the most price action we possibly can. Have not looked at Whiff in quite some time. So yeah, I'll just take this, right? I think this is pretty much what we're going to get. Actually, I'll just pull up the one that already had the... Okay, so looking at Whiff, maybe I will just... So this is your next. I mean, really, like the biggest area of balance here is obviously going to be sitting up here, right? So go ahead and pull this, right? There's your volume profile. So you got your value area low, POC right on that value area low, value area high sitting here. So 291 value area high, value area low sitting here at about 1459. That's pretty much what you're rejecting there. Probably pull that one more candle over. So yeah, I mean, I would say honestly, like from a Fibonacci standpoint, this is your key level, right, of that entire move up. And then let me just see this from the higher low. So yeah, I'm not going to keep this on the chart. Why? Well, this 786 is very key to hold, but when we pull the full fib, right, it's also your golden pocket. So just to clean up the chart here, I would say this is really your first major zone to hold. You lose that golden pocket, probably headed down towards the 786. Once you lose that 786, I'm looking for a break of structure to the downside. Now, do you have any key levels if you do break that structure? And I mean, again, like you're pretty far away from that, right? 31%. Not that that can't happen very fast on Whiff. But let me take a look at some of these MPOCs. All right, so you got 2 daily MPOCs down here. 1, 2, and okay, so you got 3 daily MPOCs there. You also have one right here, which is nice because that's closer. You have another one sitting right down here. And then you got your last one down here. You got a lot of daily MPOCs there, to be quite honest. It's a little bit noisy. Okay, and this is also, these are stronger, right? Because this is a daily and a weekly. Daily plus weekly. Daily plus weekly. Okay, so you got a daily and a weekly MPOC, a daily and a weekly MPOC. So yeah. Let's get rid of these now. So I would say zone number 1, if you wanted to separate these into two areas, this is zone number 1. Once you lose this golden pocket, I'd be looking down towards the 786 daily MPOC. Once you lose that, I'm not going to lie. I mean, can you come down and hold these daily and weeklies as support? Yes. But from a Fibonacci standpoint, I would say, probably once you lose this, right, I'd probably be looking to take the low. But you do have support down there. So, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But locally, first zone of support is going to be sitting between 72 and 65 cents. And then zone number 2, 57 all the way down to about 53.18. If you want to look for a continuation of this local trend to the upside, I would say, either here for a break of structure to the upside to come target the POC value area low. If you don't hold it there, this is your next area to look at, right? And then once you lose that 786, sure support, but I would say once you lose that 78, you don't really want to lose that 786 in my opinion. So we'll see. Maybe if you get some super nice confirmations down here, maybe it looks good, but as of right now, these are the levels I would like to hold. Pull that anchor VWAP. Whoops, I just pulled 2 of them by accident. Boom, drag this to the low. Yeah, you're already losing that. Yikes. See where that is for. Yeah, you did reject that anchored VWAP all the way from this low as well. Let me pull it to the high. Yeah. You can see how strong, like, the major anchored VWAPs, right? Pulled from the high here at $4.80 about, right? What did you reject here? Right from the anchored VWAP. Even here, right? Fake out, back in, bearish retest, continuation down. So that's what I'd be looking at on width. Those are your biggest key levels of support. I would say the largest area of resistance, like macro-wise, would be the value area low point of control, sitting closer to about, $14.56 all the way up to, $1.46 up to about $1.56. So there you go. Just higher time frame levels. So we'll see. Hopefully you can hold these levels. Let's see. Oh, unbelievable. All right, let's get to shout out to Dave Digital in the chat. What is going on, brother? Welcome in, Dave Digital, Oest of G's, one of the Oest of G's. Shout out to Dave, Double D's in the chat, and no pictures, guys. No sending pictures. Anyway, shout out to Dave Digital. What is going on, bro? Welcome in. Let's see. Vegas Claw says he's crying in the gym. People think I'm sweating. Shout out to Vegas Claw. Release the diddler. Oh, God. All right. Anyway, continuing on here. Shout out to Vegas Claw. Just chaos in the chat right now. Just make sure I didn't miss anything up here. Oh, people already dropping the double D's in chat for Dave. Let's get it. Shout out to Dave Digital. Say, can we look at ticker sign your butt? Shout out to Dave. I want to just say that's a joke, but in the current state of crypto, I can't be sure that's a joke. That could be a coin. Shout out to Dave Digital. I'll send you some pictures after the stream. Let's see. Al Jr. said, Frankie, when you're about to have a reaction, you freeze. You freeze for 7.2 seconds, and I think you're buffering. What? Shout out to Al Jr. Let's go. 1 hour and 30 minutes later. Yeah, we are, guys, I'm not going to lie. This is why, sometimes when I say I'm going to do a short stream because I have to, because I don't feel good or something and I don't want to derail the rest of the week by having to cancel streams. A lot of the time, Tony D will be like, I don't know, man, go live if you can go short, but you're probably not going to, so maybe just cancel. And it's I just can't do it, guys. I feel so lucky to be in the position that I'm in, to come up here every day and do TA for you guys and provide value and help you guys learn how to make money trading Bitcoin, whether the price goes up or down. That I definitely have to stop putting my health second. That's for sure. But it is really hard for me because I don't know. I just love doing this, man. I love doing it. I always compare it to when you're a little kid. If you've ever been a little kid, which I think most of you guys have, and you've ever gone to a barbecue, which I'm sure most of you have. It's there's always that one kid in the pool that just won't get out, even though he's shivering and he's has hypothermia, but he just wants to keep playing in the pool. That's me coming on these live streams and trading. It's Frankie, you're not going to make it, man. It's I have to go live. But anyway, let's see. Shout out to Gen Z said, Frankie, did you long Bitcoin today? I have not longed Bitcoin just yet. I have not longed Bitcoin just yet. We have come down into a key level, right? So I will just kind of break that down real quick, right? So obviously, as we talked about yesterday, right, we came down into that key level. And, could you bounce here? Yes, right? But as I was describing at the beginning of the live stream, right? Like, there's not a ton of, like, really nice entry confirmations down here, right? You, like, really all you had was super low time frame bull divs. You had a little low time frame 5-minute bull div, which, again, very high probability of some kind of a reaction. But just not really, the only other thing I see here that could give you a little bit more of a continuation up. All right, let me actually pull this hyper local level right here from the high to the low to the high. Yeah, I mean, like, listen, if maybe you come back down and retest this fib zone, like, the only thing, right, there's no real good entry confirmations. Not that that doesn't mean you can't bounce, but 4-hour green dot, if you can get that 4-hour green dot with the 15-minute money flow crossover, this is kind of something I was looking for to potentially start taking entries. I was actually going to consider laddering in, which is something I don't oftentimes do, but we're definitely at the key level. But it's like, when I see us come down to a key level, it's like, well, that's not an instant entry for me. And Gen Z, I know you know this, but not an instant entry for me. But, like, what I do is, like, I come on down and I'm like, all right, let me see what's going on here. All right, well, like, do we have any bullish divergences? You don't really have any bull divs here on the 1 hour. You definitely don't have it on the higher time frames. You have a 2-hour green dot, sure, right? Then you come on down to the 80-minute, and it's like, all right, no bullish divergence there, right? And this is just bull divs, right? It's not the only confirmation that we look for, but, no real bull div. I mean, maybe you have a little bit of a 45-minute bull div, but, like, again, not the strongest bullish divergence, right? Like, these are almost equal lows. So in my opinion, I like to see, like, nice sharp angles, right? And, like, it's just not the cleanest divergence, through my experience, right? Then you come down to the 30-minute. It's like, no 30-minute bull divs. Like, all right, well, what about the 15-minute? No 15-minute bull divs. And it's like, all right, well, dang. All right, let me see the 10-minute. All right, no 10-minute bull divs. All right, maybe the 5-minute. And it's like, all right, cool, I got a 5-minute bull div, but unless I'm entering in on that very, very bottom, it's like just not a ton of confirmation, right? Like, sure, that you could just get a 5-minute bull div and send it. Sure, maybe that 4-hour green dot prints, 15-minute money flow comes up, but it's just, like, not a ton of, it doesn't mean you can't take the trade, right? Obviously, it's always going to be a risk. You have to be accepting. You have to be able to accept that you're going to get stopped out of some positions, obviously. And again, Gen Z, I know you know this, but it's like, well, hey, if you get in here, it's like, well, at least you have, like, a really, really close invalidation, right? But even then, it's like, with just the 5-minute bull div, sure, you get the move up, nice little 0.6% move, right? I mean, that I'm not even being sarcastic. It's like, hey, you can get a nice little scalp at that 0.7% move. But, is it going to be a strong move? You want to see multiple things line up. This is what we call confluence, right? But there are times on the chart where, like, you might only see one low time frame confirmation, and sometimes price just goes. But that was just to give some explanation on why I had not taken a long position just yet, right? And if I did, or even if I do, right, like maybe we bounce off the 786, like what would I be looking at? I would definitely be looking to handle that with a good bit of care, right? And not only that, right, on top of the low amount of confirmations that we have, you also have your 90-minute money flow crossing over into the red, right, with the daily red dot. What does that make you think? Well, probably lower highs and lower lows. Even if that lower high comes up, in my opinion, all the way up to 107K, that would be the last place to look for that lower low, right? So yeah, hopefully that helps you out. Getting a little bounce off that 786, but we'll see, right? Maybe we get a 1-minute bull div in here. No, kind of like an exaggerated bull dip there, if I'm being honest. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, once if we start losing that point of control, right, the full thought process there based off the volume profile is like, well, hey, first opportunity to bounce was at that golden pocket, which we did get a little bit of a SFP off of, right? But again, money flow crossing into the red on the 1 hour, lower highs and lower lows is more likely. So we'll see. Get stuck under that point of control. I mean, I'll be honest. If you get that 4-hour green dot, I think a bigger bounce, again, up to about 107K that we talked about in the beginning of the stream, that scenario could play out. But we'll see. I mean, if we just get stuck under this point of control, could open the door to some lower prices. So, yeah, hopefully that helps you out, Gen Z. Shout out to Gen Z. Let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anything here. Shout out to Ted said, I pray my 2-year-old doesn't give me hand-foot wormhole disease. I can never tell, like, serious chats against, like, is that a real thing? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, babies could give you, like, some kind of, like, crazy parasite or something. I don't know. I've never had a baby. But let's see. Shout out to Vegas Call said, Nirvana, can you explain that to us? Explain that for us. I don't know if that was in reference to. Let's see. Shout out to J. Cole says, just now getting here. Was there any particular reason for the dump in tech stocks and BTC today? I mean, listen, if you ask me, right? Actually, someone asked a very similar question yesterday. If you ask me, right, why did Bitcoin dump? I would just point you to a technical reason, right? A lot of times, right? I wouldn't say all the time, but like, a good bit of the time, right? If it's based off news, I usually get that news late, right? Like, I am not someone who sits there and watches the news constantly because, again, the signs are on the charts for the most part first. So it's like, for me personally, right, a deviation above the high, bearish divergences. Again, I did not get into the setup, which, typically this is a pretty nice confirmation, right? You deviate above the highs, higher highs under price action, lower highs under momentum waves, right? Then once you get stuck back in the range, my entry was a little bit lower here. So I did catch that move to the downside. I didn't get the beautiful entry, but I would say just in simple, come on, malware, get away from me. I'm just kidding. Thank you for protecting me. Actually, I don't even think I use that. I should. I don't use malware specifically, but anyway. So for me personally, I mean, it's a deviation above the high. This is just simply what you would look at as a relatively overvalued asset, whether you're looking at the larger volume profile right here, or if you're even looking at the local profile like that. Right? Deviation above the high, back in, back to the low, and then again, money flow crossover into the red. The big thing we were looking at yesterday on the live stream was that 1 hour money flow crossover. Bada boom. Money flow crosses over into the red. You can see that in all of its glory with the 16-hour red dot indicates lower highs and lower lows. More often than not, right? Again, not 100% of the time, but that's what I would say, right? As a technical analyst, I got to give you the chart answer. So there you go. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Shout out to Golden Child said, but with kids, you can get a dose of butt worms for free anytime. Shout out to Golden Child. Good Lord. That's crazy. I don't know if that's real, but I guess I'll learn one day when little baby Candelito comes out. Let's see. BTC keeps getting rejected at 106K, so I would doubt it. Go back. Shout out to 12 Big. I don't know exactly what you mean by go back, but let me know in the chat. I'll try to answer. Let's see. Tony Ross says the ad banner is the way. Oh, no. I guess it timed out. Interesting. Was that sitting up there forever? That was my fault. Was I like trying to explain something and like there was just a lower third? Yeah, guys. Look at Market Cipher B. Right here. You see the money flow crossover. But anyway, that's kind of how I would explain that move to the downside. So we'll see. Oh, man, we're losing the point of control. Good Lord. Good Lord. Let's see here. All right. Short now up 1,000. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Oh, my stop loss isn't even at break even. So let me go ahead and, good Lord. Go ahead and move this to break even. Bada boom. I was always afraid my social security number is going to pop up if the page reloads. But yeah, yikes. We're losing the 786. We're losing the POC. I mean, this is the key level, guys. If you can't get back above that POC, maybe we reclaim it. If you cannot reclaim that, definitely the bigger move to the downside would potentially be in store. Again, not just based off losing the POC and the overall fill of the range from the high to the POC to the low, right? But based off the 90-minute money flow. We'll see. It would be quite exciting if we could come back and be like, not only did the 1 hour money flow with the 16-hour red dot play out, but we also got the daily and 90-minute Market Cipher B 116 strategy. And again, if we do get a bigger correction up, what I would look for the bounce is the 4-hour green dot with the 15-minute money flow crossover and really spoon feed you here. If you are going to look for rejections to the upside, I would watch the fib retracement starting at about 107, going all the way up to about 107,368. That would be in my opinion, the first major level to look at. Could you reject a local fib as well? Yes. Maybe you pull it from this lower high to the lower low, right? Maybe you reject this one, right? So you can pull these from, and this is discretionary, right? You could pull the local fibs. I don't want to mark out every single one because then our chart would very quickly look very confusing, right? It would be like, oh my God, watch this fib retracement, watch that fib retracement, watch this fib retracement, right? It would just be like too much. So for me personally, the way I handle that is I will look at the one that I want to watch, right, which will be the lower high to the lower low, right? And then if we come up and we start getting a rejection here, I just kind of say, well, okay, well, hey, is this a significant level? Right? All right, maybe it's this Fibonacci retracement, right? But I would say, like, really to invalidate the move up, invalidate the continuation down, and we are going to indicate that we're going to get a bigger break to the upside. I would say the $107,300 level is the 786 to break. You have the value area high above, so you still got to battle that. But this would be a big, big, big level of resistance, in my opinion, if we get the bounce to the upside. Not looking good for the 4-hour green dot, at least as of right now, right? You still have a little bit of time for this to pop up, potentially. Is the smash alike lower third still on here? Okay, no. I got to keep OBS open more. But yeah, we still got some time to develop for that 4-hour green dot. So we'll see what happens here, guys. 15-minute money flow got rejected pretty hard. You didn't get the crossover, so maybe you get, we'll see. We'll see. You're at support. Maybe you can reclaim, lose it, looking for the bigger move to the downside. Other than that, guys, I'm going to scoot out of here about 10 minutes early. I said it was going to be a short stream. I didn't say how short. Guys. But with all that being said, guys, I think that's all the time I got for today's live stream. I'm going to go ahead and try to go to bed while it's still light out here. Like, my hat's crooked. I'm like a mess right now. But thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with us here. CandleMafia is the best community on YouTube. Shout out to Dave Digital. Shout out to Crypto Entry Point. Said I'm 200x long from 98,000, 200x short from 108,680. Thanks for everything you've taught me. This is the 10th and 11th winning trade in a row. Shout out to Crypto Entry Point. Let's go. It literally, you have no idea how happy it makes me that I was able to help you with that in any way, shape, or form. Teaching you, giving you the TA, whatever it is. I'm just glad that I can help. So shout out to you, man. I'll even throw a little bit of cash for you. Shout out to Crypto Entry Point, which is a pretty fitting name if you're in 200x longs. Make sure you don't have make sure you use a stop loss at some point. But shout out to Crypto Entry Point. Let's get it. That's all the time I got for today's live stream. Smash that like button on your way out, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. Drop that goat emoji in the chat. Goat emoji's wild. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. Hopefully I feel better. And that's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Shout out to Dave Digital. Frankie taught you to use 200x leverage. Did I miss that stream? Hey, listen. Using high leverage is okay as long as you're using good risk management, right? Doesn't have to necessarily increase your risk. If you think that's crazy, I'm not saying Dave thinks that's crazy, but if you think that's crazy, you can't use high leverage with good risk management, go watch the beginner series. I don't remember which exact video it is, but I think it's whatever video is titled, The Only Leverage Trading Tutorial You'll Ever Need. I explain how using high leverage does not always indicate much more risk. It only indicates more risk if you don't use a stop loss and you're full porting your account, stuff like that. But anyway, shout out to FN Dollars. asked if you're looking at market Cypher B with the 4 hour on the 4 hour with the 15-minute money flow, what time frame would you recommend to follow the money flow on? The daily chart? How about the weekly chart? Shout out to F and Dollars. Actually, you might have hopped out, but basically what you're looking for with the 4 hour green dot with the 15-minute money flow crossover, the market Cypher B 116 strategy. If you're looking to trade that or use it to anticipate direction, what you would look for is I'm always paying attention to higher time frame money flow, obviously, for longer term context. But in the context of a green dot, like let's say this green dot prints on the 4 hour, right? Let me try to find an actual example of this. All right, let me just, it's going to take me a second. I mean, maybe this will just hit the first time. And it does. Okay, so basically what you're looking at, right? If I come into bar replay mode, I think the best way to explain this is to come into bar replay mode, right? So I'm looking, right? Say you're on the 4 hour time frame, and you're saying, okay, well, hey, I have a 4 hour green dot printing, right? You can see that right there. 4 hour green dot prints. Now, what I'm doing is I am going down to the 15-minute time frame, and I'm saying if that 15-minute money flow crosses over into the green, this move up is probably likely to continue in some form or fashion as a trend on the 15-minute, right? So you have the 4 hour green dot, right? So I'll just mark that off right there. 15-minute, what am I looking at now? That 4 hour red dot is printing. Now I'm looking at that 15-minute money flow. It's starting to curve to the upside. If you can get that to cross over into the green, right? Money flow coming up, little pullback, sure, no problem, but the overall trend would be likely to continue to the upside, right? So money flow crosses into the green, trend continues to the upside, right? It's the same thing as the 1 hour, right? It's the same thing as the 1 hour and 16 hour that we used yesterday on the live stream to call the move to the downside. Right? And you can see money flow crosses into the green, trend continues up, right? Sure, you get a pullback, but continuation up, pullback, continuation up, pullback, continuation up, pullback up, right? Maybe it ends here, potentially, maybe not. Let's see. Okay, now you're starting a little bit of a downtrend, right? And the money flow comes out. But really what you're looking for is that 4 hour, 15-minute money flow crossover with the 4 hour green dot at the same time, which would indicate the trend will continue to the upside. And again, just to show that in the live price action, maybe go back to the live stream last night to look at what we talked about. You have the 16-hour red dot printing, 1 hour money flow, right? Maybe this will probably bring us pretty close to the live stream time, right? Yeah, 6 a.m. So you have the 16-hour red dot printing, which obviously stays on the chart for quite some time. And look at your 1 hour money flow, right? This was starting to come down towards that zero line, pretty much like right near the stream, right? 5 o'clock. Money flow starts crossing over into the red. We start to think to ourselves, well, hey, maybe the continuation of the downtrend, maybe the downtrend will continue. Why? Well, you have the 16-hour red dot. It's a high time frame red dot, which could give you an ever flow to the downside. But on the 1 hour money flow, it would look like the continuation of the trend with lower highs and lower lows, right? And then obviously, if you watch that 1 hour money flow crossover marked by the vertical line, you can see you get pushes up and you get lower highs and lower lows, lower highs and lower lows. Right? So that's how you do that. That's how you use that market Cypher B 116 strategy. I also have a tutorial in the beginner series showing you exactly how to use that strategy. I believe I even showed a live trade that we were looking at or that I was in at that time of the recording. So go check that out if you have not already. Shout out to F and Dollars. Thank you for the super chat. And with all that being said, now we're going overtime. I'll see you guys tomorrow, same place, same time. Thank you all for being here. Smash that like button on your way out. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road. go. At the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor.